Tonight, the top 10 most amazing videos of all time. Which is number one? Is it the rocket fuel plant exploding in a fireball of flames? Or the massive glacier slamming into a group of terrified tourists? Or the Navy crewman who is sucked into the engine of a fighter jet? Or is it the 10,000-pound elephant sitting on the head of a horrified zookeeper? These are the incredible true life stories of people who face their most desperate hour and live to tell about it. Everything you are about to see is real. Real people, real danger, real excitement. Get ready to experience the thrill of a lifetime. You are about to witness the world's most amazing videos. The countdown begins with amazing video number 10.
There's nothing more American than a family picnic. The sun, the barbecue, Grandpa blowing bubbles for the kids. What could possibly go wrong?
You get the hang of it. Look at that. There we go.
Baltimore, Maryland. It's a beautiful afternoon by the Chesapeake Bay. The McDonald family thinks all they have to worry about is a little rain falling from the sky. Not a multi-million-dollar stealth fighter jet crashing into a fireball that engulfs their neighbor's home.
Get back, Grandpa. Get back. Just get back, get back, get back.
It all starts at the Chesapeake Air Show with a stealth fighter flyby. 12,000 people are packed into Martin Air Base, while thousands more watch from backyard picnics and parties across the bay. Then, the unimaginable happens.
Get your cameras out and take your shot.
The military's most fearsome fighter jet breaks apart in midair. Nearby, Gloria and Diane Stump's family picnic is almost their last.
And I said, gee, Diane, look at that plane. It's coming down awful fast and it's awful close to the ground.
You're looking up and you're seeing a black, flat piece of machinery falling from the sky.
She jumped up and she said, I think it's going to crash.
The pilot, Major Brian Knight, faces a life and death decision. Should he bail out and save himself? Or should he stay aboard the jet and aim it toward the bay, away from the thousands of defenseless spectators below?
Stay where you are, folks. This is okay. Stay where you are.
Incredibly, the pilot maintains control of the jet, avoids the crowd, and still manages to eject in time.
Eject.
But the aircraft falls short of the bay and crashes into the neighborhood.
Get back, Grandpa. Jeez, it's gonna explode.
All of a sudden it blew up and exploded. Pieces of the cars and plane were just like blowing up and flying all over.
People were screaming and people were running down the yard. It was just like total chaos.
It was horrible. It really was horrible.
Eyewitnesses can't believe that the pilot makes it out alive, ejecting at the last possible moment.
We've got a good shoot.
I could see that this guy stayed with this plane until it almost hit the ground.
I started to run over toward the house, and at that moment, the pilot fell right in front of me.
Gloria and Diane come to the aid of the heroic pilot. Later, at a press conference, he reflects on that fateful moment.
After I landed and Diane Stump came up to me and said, well, I don't think anybody was in the house, I was incredibly relieved.
He kept saying, you know, is everybody okay? I tried to make it to the water. He was very intensely concerned about the people on the ground.
I knew where I was. I knew that I was over a neighborhood, and that really, that scared me, to be honest with you.
I thank the Lord that nobody was in that house because they would have been dead today.
If it hadn't been for the quick thinking of Major Knight, thousands of lives could have been lost.
That's the first time I've ever seen anything like that, and I don't want to see it again.
Now, here's amazing video number 9.
Auburn, California. Placer County Animal Control Officer Carl Pritchard is appearing on a local TV show.
This is Pinky. He's a male cat, domestic short hair.
Pritchard is trying to find a new home for this abandoned kitty.
He's a very loving cat.
Problem is, Pinky doesn't want to go.
Pinky.
Pinky, whoa.
We got a wildcat on our hands.
Colleen McGuire, the director of animal control, moves in and tries to cover the ferocious feline with a box. But the flimsy cardboard can't contain Pinky's rage.
Just sit it over. Get catch pull.
Catch out pull to get him?
Yeah, because I'm not going to grab him.
As Pinky fights to break free, Pritchard struggles to keep the animal from injuring itself. But when Pinky goes into a violent spiral up the officer's leg, the cat's safety is no longer his #1 priority. Pinky sinks his claws and teeth into the officer's groin. As Pritchard tries desperately to pry him loose, the cat clamps down even harder.
Of course, I let out this horrible scream. I mean, it was painful. You know, that's a tender area on anybody, male or female. I'm sorry, it is.
Finally, Pritchard manages to remove the animal from his leg. He's rushed to the hospital with 2 deep puncture wounds.
It was rather, a little embarrassing, to have to drop your pants and show this nurse where you were bit. I mean, this cat left a hole in my pants, this big.
But Officer Pritchard wants people to know that this unusual incident is not typical of most pet adoptions.
You got to look at it, from the animal's point of view. This animal felt threatened, and its basic instinct was to get away.
The world's most amazing countdown continues. Which will be #1? 2 college mascots going head-to-head. Or the massive glacier slamming terrified tourists into an icy lake. Or is it the dark day the zookeeper will never forget? But first, this all-new amazing video.
Los Angeles, California. A 5-alarm blaze is raging out of control at a warehouse in the heart of the city. Fire crews douse the inferno with water, but with no luck. The destruction spreads as flames climb 100 feet into the sky. Despite the danger, firefighters are forced to climb onto the roof in hopes of somehow containing the blaze. Their plan is to cut holes in the ceiling and blast the fire with water. But they have no idea that a gas line is leaking right under their feet. Let's watch again. Without warning, the gas erupts in a fiery explosion, turning night to day. Miraculously, no one is killed. The firefighters are able to get back on their feet and continue their battle. Despite the moment, it could have been their last.
The world's most amazing videos will return. Now, for amazing video #8.
Natchitoches, Louisiana. It's homecoming weekend. The Northeast Louisiana University Indians clash with their arch rivals, the Northwestern State University Demons. Even though the battle on the field is fierce, it's no match for what's about to happen on the sidelines. The Indians' mascot, Chief Brave Spirit, is pumping up the crowd. But then, the Chief begins to taunt the other team's mascot, Vic the Demon, by playfully slapping him on the chin. Little does the chief know, Shane Claybo, the tough guy in the devil suit, is mad as hell.
The rivalry is more or less between the team and not between the two mascots. I'm standing there yelling at him. And I remember saying something about, don't embarrass me in front of my school. I won't embarrass you in front of yours.
Shane claims that Chief Brave Spirit is a known bully in the mascot world. But Steve Patron, the man inside the Indian costume, says a little friendly pushing and shoving is all just part of the show.
There's an agreement, an unspoken rule, that you're just going to play wrestle. And if Shane wasn't able to do that, he should have never come to the back of the end zone.
But Shane's cartoonish demon costume can no longer conceal his rage. He throws the first punch with such velocity that his foam rubber head comes loose. Chief Brave Spirit is stunned.
I had no idea what was going on. I never went over any boundaries, or I never crossed a line.
Brave Spirit fights back, unleashing a vicious kick, followed by a powerful right hook. This chief had no intention of going on the warpath, but the devil made him do it. The TV crew covering the game can't decide what's more exciting, the action on the field or the spectacle in the end zone. In an attempt to end the fight, the chief breaks the mascot cardinal rule. He slams the demon to the ground and yanks off his head.
You don't take another mascot's head off. You don't want to beat up another mascot in front of their school and tarnish their reputation.
Now there's hell to pay. The headless demon is out for revenge.
And he proceeded to grab on my ponytails and try to rip my head off.
The demon lunges at his rival, trying to behead the bewildered chief. But he can't, because Brave Spirit's costume is securely fastened with chin straps.
But I did have something to hold my head on, which any good mascot would have.
College police finally break up the rumble. Like a victorious boxer, the cocky chief raises his arms to the cheers of the hometown crowd. The disheveled demon is helped to his feet. With the final score, Indians 28, Demons 18, there's no doubt who won on the field. But just who won the brutal brawl on the sidelines?
Oh, I do think I won.
I won the fight.
But will they ever settle the matter once and for all? Steven says he's ready for a rematch.
Shane, if you have any problems, if you want to get this over, if you want to move on in your life, come see me. I don't have a problem with that.
Here comes amazing video number 7.
The Italian Alps. For hikers, these mountains are paradise on earth. A home video camera captures the beauty of a 1,000-year-old glacier rising out of Lake Miyagi. A group of tourists moves closer to the massive frozen cliff when suddenly the ice begins to break apart. As the glacier starts to collapse, the tourists are too stunned to move. They seem paralyzed until a colossal wave sweeps them off their feet. The icy water pounds the panicked sightseers with tremendous force, slamming their bodies into the jagged rocks below. Bruised and battered, they struggle to survive. These sightseers have experienced a dramatic display of nature's awesome power. It is a sight they'll never forget.
Next up, the countdown continues. Which will be number 1? The real-life Titanic? Or mayhem at the rocket fuel plant? Or is it the zookeeper who gets the surprise of a lifetime? But first, an all-new amazing video.
Hockenheim Racetrack, Germany. It's the Superbike Championship, Europe's top motorcycle race. Riding number 13 is Austrian racer Andy Meckloff, the favorite to win the title. The cycles are at the start line, and they're off. The riders blast through the twisting course, topping speeds of 100 miles per hour. On sharp turns, the racers lean dangerously close to the asphalt. In the 13th lap of the race, Andy is back in 7th place and about to make his move, when suddenly, disaster strikes. Let's watch this horrifying collision again. Andy loses control of his bike and crashes. Both he and his motorcycle bounce off the hay bales and spin violently back onto the track. Andy lies unconscious as the other racers swerve to avoid him. Several riders raise their hands, warning fellow competitors that a crash has occurred. A red flag is waved and the race is stopped. Incredibly, Andy is alive. He manages to stand and run off the track. But he is delirious. Stunned from the bone-crushing collision, Andy staggers in pain. Then, help arrives. Miraculously, Andy survives the horrifying crash and goes on to race again.
The world's most amazing videos will continue. Now for amazing video number 6.
Emergency. We need the fire department. All you can get here immediately. What's the problem? We just had a big explosion and everything's on fire.
Henderson, Nevada. An earth-shattering explosion in a rocket fuel factory rocks this small desert town.
This explosion is huge. It's scary. It looks like a mini atomic bomb actually when it goes off.
Rodney McCarroll is working in a nearby factory when he feels the blast. He recalls the panic.
I remember a man running down the road, run. The place is going to be blown off the earth. And I went, what? And he said, the place is going to be blown off the earth.
The sound was instantaneous. It was just huge. And then you could see the shock wave rolling across the ground at you.
The shock wave is so powerful that it destroys much of the town.
At that point, I felt that anybody who was within the area surely must have lost their life.
Got out of our cars and started walking, and the explosions just blew us straight up in the air. Unbelievable.
Oh, it just blew again.
It threw me about 60 feet through the air and put me through the wall of the office.
There were people running out of the desert. I mean, a lot of people running out of the desert that had been injured by falling down or, the blast had blown them sometimes 50 and 75 feet.
Still trapped inside the burning factory is Roy Westerfield. He knows that without emergency help, his friends will die. So instead of saving himself, he stays behind to call 911.
Fire department at the engineering, 8201 Gibson Road. In Henderson. Emergency. We need the fire department. All you can get here.
Roy's courage doesn't surprise his wife, Janet.
I don't think that he was even concerned with himself at all. Roy just wanted to get his people out of the building. He wanted them to be safe.
Because Roy is disabled and has difficulty walking, he knows he can't make it out in time. But he refuses to let his friends risk their lives to help him escape.
He knew that if they tried to help him, all that would have happened was they would have added one more casualty onto the list.
Seconds later, another blast.
Wow, it's an inferno!
With a force equal to a 3.5 magnitude earthquake, it's the biggest explosion yet.
Did you let heat?
You can't tell me people got out of that.
Oh,
Now the town looks like a war zone.
And it was the eeriest feeling driving down this road. There was debris all over the asphalt road. And there were cars parked along the side. I had no idea of where all these people had gone. Had they all been killed in the explosion?
The injured are rushed to the hospital in desperate need of medical attention.
Henderson was shut down. Henderson was physically, absolutely shut down.
Tragically, the one person who stayed behind to call for help didn't survive. Roy Westerfield never had a chance to save himself because he put the lives of others first.
I remember after the third explosion, and the phone line went dead, I thought to myself that there's a lot of people in this community that owe their life to him.
Here comes amazing video number 5.
The Wild Coast, South Africa. Tourists enjoy a pleasure cruise aboard the Greek luxury liner Oceanos. Little do they know that just 12 hours later, their dream vacation would become a nightmare. Damaged by a severe storm, the enormous ocean liner is taking on water and sinking fast. Its 400 terrified passengers are shocked when they discover that the captain and his cowardly crew have piled their luggage into several of the lifeboats and sailed off, leaving them to die. Cruise ship entertainer Julian Butler remembers the scene.
The crew members were bringing down suitcases and bags and all their belongings. I had questioned the staff captain, why are we not putting any passengers on this boat? He said bring 10. 10 out of probably 60 people on a lifeboat, not enough.
With panic and confusion all around him, another of the ship's entertainers, Moss Hills, goes below deck to see how quickly the water is rising.
I could see water rushing down the passenger area. I'm right down below now. There's water everywhere. It's sloshing about from side to side. It's like a blow, and you think, my God, you know, we're sinking.
Since the crew has abandoned ship, Moss and Julian realize it's up to them to lead the 400 frightened passengers to safety.
I didn't know what to do. None of us did who were helping out. And it's completely irresponsible. How can you not run the rescue?
I think my biggest fear was the fact that we had many elderly passengers on board the ship. I think I could look after myself, but I know that those older people, if the ship was going down, they couldn't swim for their life.
Half the passengers make it into the lifeboats when another tragedy strikes. The ship leans over too far, rendering the remaining lifeboats useless.
We couldn't launch any more lifeboats. They wouldn't go down. And so we were trapped on board, more than 200 people, and no other way to get off.
Panic grips the passengers as Moss and Julian race to the ship's bridge and try to radio for help.
National Sea Rescue need a spare channel. Can you help over?
So we just started on the radio, you know, Mayday, Mayday, trying to make some kind of contact. Eventually we did make contact with the ship and told them what our situation was. And he says to me, you know, what rank are you? So I said, I'm not a rank, I'm a guitarist. And he just says, what are you doing on the bridge? And I said, well, there's nobody else here.
For 5 agonizing hours, the passengers wait for the helicopters to arrive. But the dangerously high winds, coupled with the treacherous seas, put the rescue mission in jeopardy.
Then when the helicopters arrived, the wind was still blowing a lot. They couldn't get down onto the deck. They're sort of swinging around like that in the wind.
With precious seconds ticking away, Moss lashes himself to the railing in order to guide the rescuer on board. Moments later, they start strapping the first of the passengers into the safety harness.
it was quite difficult because as the ship's pitching and rolling, that cable is getting longer and shorter all the time. I got really scared and I thought, you know, while saving someone, I could be very well killing someone.
2 by 2, the passengers are hoisted to safety. With the ship minutes away from sinking, Moss sends the last terrified tourists up to the waiting helicopters. Finally, it's time for Moss and Julian to be rescued.
We put the harness on together, made the signal. I'd done it for all the passengers, now I did it for us. And we got hoisted up, and it's an incredible feeling. Looking back, you're just getting lifted off to safety, and there's my ship, the Oceanus, just below us, on its side, nose going down, and just sinking before my very eyes. And one of the Navy people from the shore said to me, "Is everyone off?" And I just said, "Yes, it's all over." And I just collapsed.
Watching the Oceanus in its final moments, Julian is reminded of another tragedy at sea.
And it was amazing to see that ship go down, straight down vertical, like the Titanic almost. It was sad to see everything going down, but we had our lives, and that's the most important.
Back on shore, loved ones who were separated during the rescue are reunited. They owe their lives to the 2 brave men who stepped forward in their moment of crisis and became heroes.
And if it wasn't for the TFC and entertainment staff, I don't know what would have happened. I'm just happy that we're alive.
Amazingly, all of the passengers survived. No thanks to the captain who left them for dead.
When I order abandon the ship, doesn't matter what time I leave. Abandon is for everybody. If some people they like to stay, they can stay.
Coming up, the countdown to #1 continues. Will it be the exploding whale or the human torch? Or is it the Navy crewman who is sucked inside a jet engine? But first, an all-new, amazing video.
Chesapeake Bay. The U.S. Navy is using this F-18 Hornet to conduct a bomb deployment test. Above it, a TA-4 Skyhawk chase plane is filming the maneuvers. As the aircrafts reach 5,000 feet, the weapon is released. But then, disaster. Take another look. The 250-pound bomb clips the right wing of the Skyhawk, causing the plane to spin out of control. Another angle reveals that the turbulence from the Hornet causes the projectile to fly directly into the path of the other plane. Stunt pilots have no time to react. The pilot of the bomber watches in horror as the Skyhawk plummets to the water below. There's almost no hope that the men could possibly survive. But watch again. Just seconds before the burning plane hits the ocean, a crewman can be seen ejecting. Then another. The pilots are alive. The parachutes open, and they safely glide to the bay. Within minutes, a rescue boat picks them up. Although the weapons test was a success, the toughest test that day was for the brave pilots of the Skyhawk, who barely escaped with their lives.
The world's most amazing videos will continue. Now, check out amazing video #4.
Florence, Oregon. The carcass of an 8-ton Pacific gray whale washes up on the beach. Normally, the remains would be hauled out to sea or buried in the sand. But these people have decided to take a different approach. Dynamite. They plan to blow the creature to bits so the tiny fragments can be consumed by seagulls and other scavengers along the shore. Blasting a whale to smithereens is a big story. So reporter Paul Lindman and a local news crew race to the scene to cover the event.
Dead on arrival, a beach near Florence.
There was really kind of a carnival atmosphere there that day. Townspeople from Florence had come out. There were kids out there. I can remember people up in the dunes above the beach putting out picnics and getting ready to watch the show of this tremendous exploding whale.
Engineers load a half-ton of dynamite underneath the massive mammal, believing this will blow most of it out to sea. Moments before the detonation, Paul interviews George Thornton, the man behind the bizarre plan.
Well, I'm confident that it'll work. The only thing is we're not sure just exactly how much explosives it'll take to disintegrate this thing.
So just to be sure, the engineers decide to add some more dynamite.
This seems like an awful lot of stuff. I mean, we're talking boxes of TNT.
With the explosives in place, curious onlookers are moved back a quarter of a mile from the site. Then, the command to fire.
All right, Fred, you can take your hands out of your head. Here comes pieces of...
But excitement soon turns to terror as 200-pound chunks of whale meat plummet from the sky.
I am conscious of a sound that I haven't heard before, and it's going thunk, 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 and it increases in speed. And I realize the sound that I am hearing is pieces of blubber hitting the ground around me.
We suddenly were scared. It changed from sort of a carnival atmosphere into one of, my gosh, this is panic.
The hunks of rotten meat don't fly toward the ocean as expected. The crew used too much dynamite, causing the blubber to rain down on spectators as far as 1,500 feet away.
When it ended, we were covered with that whale. I looked down at a dark beige raincoat. It was bright pink.
The overwhelming sense is the smell. It is crippling. I mean, it's disorienting.
Incredibly, the only casualty is this car, its roof flattened by a massive slab of whale meat. Half of the carcass remains intact and has to be buried under the sand. It takes 2 months for the stench to go away, but the memory of the whale will last a lifetime.
Every time somebody comes up and says, "Tell me about the whale." Yeah, I'll tell you about the whale. That's a story I'll never forget.
Get ready for amazing video number 3.
Busan, Korea. A tense standoff between the construction workers and tenants escalates into an all-out riot. The tenants are holed up on a construction tower and have vowed to fight to the finish. Using rocks and homemade fire bombs, they attack the workers. They even use makeshift flamethrowers to keep them at bay. Each time the workmen try to remove the tenants from the tower, they are assaulted by bottles of flaming gasoline. The foreman, the only man not wearing a hard hat, gathers his men and uses a wooden platform as a shield. They move toward the tower under a heavy barrage of bricks and firebombs. Suddenly, a Molotov cocktail shatters on the shield, exploding into a deadly fireball. The foreman is set ablaze. Moments later, another bomb is hurled from the tower onto his head. He stumbles back to his men, who fight to extinguish the flames. Amazingly, this human torch manages to escape with only minor injuries. Moments later, the riot police move in and take control. The protesters are arrested, and the insurrection is finally over.
Next up, the countdown to the world's most amazing video continues with the final two. Which is it? The Navy crewman sucked into a jet engine? Or a 10,000-pound elephant sitting on the head of a horrified zookeeper? But first, an all-new, amazing video.
Seminole County, Florida. 7 years ago, Deputy Rick Colentis lost his teenage son in a tragic car accident.
If I can prevent other people from being injured, then they're not going to see or wake up the same way with the same feelings I do every day.
Today, those solemn words will be put to the test. A high-speed pursuit has just entered the deputy's jurisdiction. Police have blocked freeway exits to keep the dangerous driver off of crowded city streets. But the fugitive has a plan of his own. He approaches an off-ramp and nearly slows to a stop. Then suddenly guns it around the roadblock. Now he's speeding down local roads that are filled with afternoon traffic. Rick tries to stay close as the suspect weaves between cars.
He was getting more and more reckless, which was giving us even more concern that he was going to take and cause a serious accident.
Then the driver enters a school zone just as students are being let out of class. He swerves, causing a near collision between a police car and a school bus packed with children. Then the suspect races through a parking lot and heads back onto the street. Deputy Colentis tries to close in, but the deranged driver hits the gas. The man approaches a busy intersection, then does the unthinkable. The fugitive barrels into head-on traffic going the wrong way. Luckily, he swerves back into the right lane, but up ahead, there's another danger. He's racing toward another school zone. This one is crowded with elementary students whose lives are now at risk.
I knew I had to stop this vehicle before it got to the school zone.
The deputy speeds into position, then makes his move. Look again. The officer rams the side of the SUV, causing it to careen into a white pickup before it flips and skids to a stop. The impact forces the deputy to lose control and slam into a tree. But somehow, he staggers to his feet and races to apprehend the suspect. The man is pulled through the sunroof and taken into custody. But what about the other driver?
When I looked up and saw the white pickup truck, I was just hoping that nobody'd be injured.
Fortunately, he is uninjured. Thanks to the courageous actions of Deputy Colentis, the high-speed terror ended before innocent children were endangered.
I had just seconds to make my decision. I could not live with the fact that this individual might end up going into a school zone and injuring or even killing somebody.
The world's most amazing videos will continue. Now, here's amazing video number 2.
Last season, we showed you one of the most incredible videos we've ever seen. Watch closely as a Navy crewman actually gets sucked into the engine of a jet plane. It's hard to believe that anyone could survive such a horrifying ordeal, but he did. So we embarked on a nationwide manhunt to find him. A letter from one of our viewers brought us to Clinton, Indiana, where we found former Petty Officer J.D. Bridges, and this is his amazing story. 1991, the Persian Gulf. During Operation Desert Storm, the crew aboard the USS Theodore Roosevelt is on full alert. In the early morning hours of February 20th, J.D. and a new recruit are preparing for the takeoff of an A-6 fighter jet. The trainee positions the front wheels of the plane and moves back. That's when J.D. steps forward to check his work, but he makes a big mistake.
I don't know why or what crossed my mind the way I entered the plane, but it was wrong because I should have been kneeling and I wasn't.
Watch again as J.D. moves in front of the engine. Suddenly, J.D. is sucked inside. Now he's in a desperate fight for his life. The helpless man struggles as he's pulled into the deadly blades of the massive jet engine.
It sucked off my helmet, it sucked off my goggles, it took my gloves off my hand, chewed my float coat, my shirt, and my jacket up all the way around me.
Then, in an amazing stroke of luck, J.D.'s helmet flies off his head and jams the engine's razor-sharp blades, causing him to slow down. The fellow crewman sees the engine malfunction and quickly signals the pilot to shut it down, just seconds before J.D. would have been ripped to shreds. Flight deck personnel race to the scene, expecting the worst. But to their amazement, J.D. claws his way out of the engine. Later, he recounts the terrifying moment for his fellow crewmen.
All the air was rushing through the intake, and it was stuck in my air. I couldn't get any air, and then I heard him shut down the engine, and I looked back, and I just started pulling myself out, and that's the last thing I remember.
This is truly a remarkable story of survival. J.D. knows that it's nothing short of a miracle.
Somebody was looking out for me.
An old Navy buddy of J.D.'s, Mike McDonald, witnessed the terrifying moment firsthand. Mike wrote the letter that made tonight's story possible.
God must have been holding on to his foot. Nothing happened to him. You know, minor cuts and bruises and scratches and a couple broken bones, and that's it. You know, it's amazing. It's got to be a miracle.
And now, the most amazing video of all time.
Guadalajara, Mexico. A young man is busy cleaning the elephant cage at a local zoo. With his head down, pushing his broom, he's completely unaware that one of the giant beasts is backing up. Suddenly, the 10,000-pound elephant sits on his head. The panic-stricken man struggles to pull himself free. Finally out, he gasps for air. Take another look at this amazing video. 1 minute, the man is happily working in the bright light of the elephant pen. The next, he plunges into darkness. Although the man survived his terrifying ordeal, this is one day that neither he nor the elephant will ever forget.